Hey everyone, so this is hopefully a shortish kind of follow-up to the review I did for the Time Force Blue Ranger, because I wanted to compare things on it to the Time Force Red Ranger in regards to what they did and what they didn't do, and stuff that they added. So, like I said from the main video, the morphers are slightly different. They colored in the black, or they colored in around the morpher in black for Time Force Blue, which they didn't need to do. But then they actually colored the oval thing right here on the morpher black, but they didn't do it for Time Force Red. Then on top of that, they painted this thing on the gauntlet black, rightfully, and the outline on this black on blue, but they didn't red. So yeah, sorry for the dust on Time Force Red. I've had them for a while. But other things on the gauntlets for Time Force Red are black. Just not the outer things of the circles for the gauntlets and the things for the morphers. And in terms of the looks for these suits, the only other real difference I can see off the top, or just looking at them, are the triangles right here for how they're different there. As I said in the main video, Time Force Reds is thinner than Blues. Blues is show accurate, Reds is not. It's not necessarily that big of a deal, but yeah. Then everything else I think is basically the same in regards to paint apps and everything. They got basically everything right for the suits. And even the Chrono Blasters are, it looks like the same mold, roughly, maybe. Maybe it's a slightly different mold, but it's based on the same design. And it's the same, like, paint apps and everything. So, yeah. Not to mention the joints for Time Force Blue are looser than Time Force Reds. Not to say that his are right, like that stiff, but I prefer stiff. Not overly stiff, but I prefer more stiff to more loose, because that just bodes better for a figure. So then we have the, I'm not sure what these weapons are called, but basically they're sabers. And, Chrono Sabers. And, I heard that these are based on new molds on Twitter, I think, which they could be. The one for blue looks slightly, like, smaller or narrower in places than Reds for a, comparison's sake, but it may be due to the paint apps, but I don't know. This is definitely different on this one. So, I don't know why they wouldn't use the same molds for these, is my thing about that. But then also, the paint apps are different. Reds only has the black and red painted on, which I forgot that they did have the red painted on this. I think I stated in the main review that they didn't. But yeah, and everything else is the clear plastic, where they didn't paint over it. And then blues, mostly the same paint details, but they bothered to paint this, or these arrow things, silver, as well as the black around them. They bothered to paint the circle right there silver on blues, but they didn't on reds. So yeah, just different, like, paint apps and everything. I think blues is better. Yeah, that's just a bit disappointing. But they're overall the same in regards to, like, paint details and everything. Although blues, I don't know if it can be caught on camera with this camera, but blues is more, the blue on Time Force Blues, it looks almost, you can see the glitter. It looks like they used a metallic blue or a glittery blue, whereas reds, they just use a solid red. And then there's also blue right here on the tip there, where there's no red right there on reds. So yeah, it's the same on both sides for blues. So yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, just to show that off for comparison's sake. Then I also just need to show this real quick in regards to Wild Force Blue compared to Wild Force Silver. Pretty much everything is very much the same. Although the belts look like, yeah, the belts look slightly different, but that mainly looks like they color, or the, what do you call it? The plastic that they did. Silver's in is more gold colored, or maybe it's like, it's a different sheen than blues to me. I don't know if it's showing up on camera correctly. But yeah, the only thing that's wrong with my Wild Force Blue, besides, I think some loose joints, is this. I have no idea if I can easily just push that back in. I've kind of tried, but it's not easy. And I'm afraid of breaking the figure or popping off the arm entirely from that shoulder joint thing if I even try hard enough. There really seems like a factory error. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, at the very least, it doesn't seem like my Wild Force Blue is really that bad in regards to everything else. So I may just deal with it, or I may just buy a loose Wild Force Blue when they get on eBay for a decent price, and then maybe sell mine, but it all depends on what I want to do at some point in the future. Otherwise, I think it's fine for what it is, but yeah. Crystal Saber still sucks, but then also to point this out, Wild Force Silver does still not have, or the Lunar Wolf Ranger still does not have a holster for just some reason I don't understand. The holster on him, I think, on Wild Force Blue, I think would have been good for Silver. Yeah, it's still a little bit loose, but it would have been fine if they just did that for Wild Force Silver. I would have still accepted it. But yeah, that is a problem. It's the fact that they didn't get the right holster here, because when I moved this from where I had it standing, which is like a little bit away from the bed to the bed, the Crystal Saber, like, at some point somehow, like, flew out of the holster and landed on the floor. So that's genuinely a problem with a loose holster. And it's weird because, like, up until this point, for one, the figures that got holsters, which is most of them, got the correct holsters for the weapons that they're for, but they decided to go with a bigger one than it should have gotten for Wild Force Blue. I don't understand that whatsoever. It just makes no sense to me. It's basically the same kind of holster that they use for the Dino Thunder line, just a little bit thicker in regards to like what it actually holds. It's funny because there's like no direct comparison outside of Zeo and Dino Thunder that I can readily compare it to in regards to those holsters, because the ones that got holsters, they have completely different ones because that's how the suit designs were. So yeah. I just hope that in the future they fix that specific, like, kind of holster and make it either the right one or a better one at the very least. But yeah, at some point I also kind of hope that they bother to, like, release like 5 or 6 packs of Rangers or whatever, or do like reprints with some better things for some of the Rangers. Like MMPR Red could use it because of the helmet sculpt for it. And definitely Wild Force Blue could use it. And I think Dino Thunder Red and Blue could eventually use it with the right, like, visor trim color. And Zeo Rangers, maybe, but to me they look like they have the right visor trim colors for the most part. A lot of the other figures are fine from what I can tell, but yeah. Maybe the SPD Rangers, the main 5 SPD Rangers, could use a reprint with the right, like, visor trims and consistent designs across the board for how they are colored and designed and everything. especially with the SPD morphers, because those are not consistent across the board. Only like I think 2 of them are consistent. The other 2 are not with the rest. So yeah, and it sucks because they got it right. I think with SPD red and blue, pink has a weird morpher, and then green I think it could also use an update, or it was either green or blue that could use the update. And then it's also weird because Shadow Ranger also for his mold, because he was the first SPD Ranger released, I believe. They got the mold right for the SPD morpher that he has, but they printed the text and everything on the wrong side for the paint apps for those. So yeah, some of these figures could easily use a redo and a re-release and everything. Yeah, but what can you do really? So yeah, and with some of these things, unless you want to paint them yourselves, or if you know someone who will gladly repaint them for you, or something like that, or if someone sets up a service where you could do that. I don't know what else could be done at this point for them. But yeah, and this is also a thing I've heard is that in regards to the loose joint problems on my Time Force Blue, that's also been a problem with the body molds of the male figures and some of the female figures that have been released in the plastic-free packaging boxes, because apparently the Hasbro switched factories to one in, I think, Taiwan is what I heard, because I just watched the video of someone else doing a review on Wild Force Blue, and there really needs to be QC on that factory in regards to how it does the molding and everything, because you can't have figures be really loose, because if they're really loose, they can easily come apart, and that's not good. That's not a good look, especially for Hasbro and the brand and everything. So yeah, and it's been like the figures have always been inconsistent on whether or not they're going to be really loose, really stiff, or somewhere in the middle. Most of the time, for me, at the very least, they turn out to be decent in the middle in regards to being not too stiff, not too loose, and everything. But yeah, I don't really get like why Hasbro aren't being more consistent, more diligent to have things be consistent at the very least across the board, even with like minor paint mistakes and everything in regards to like visor trims and whatever. I don't understand why they can't be consistent across the board with them, and I don't understand why they just can't like change some of these things. Like, they've gone out of their way to do replacement programs for people who want replacements Dino Thunder white and SPD A Squad pink helmets, and those are still available as far as I know. I assume they mass produced them in good numbers to make sure that people who especially get the figures in the future, as long as they're still in prints, they can get them. But yeah, I don't understand whatsoever, especially when, like, I'd say most of the figures are consistent across the board for most of the teams, but there's just like minor things that don't hold up or don't add up for them, and it's mainly a problem of, as I said, I think in one of the main reviews for, like, I think it was Time Force Blue, or maybe it was Wild Force Blue, whichever one I said it in, it's like, or maybe it was Dino Thunder Yellow, whichever one I said it in recently, where they produce some of these figures for some of these teams a while apart from each other, like a year, maybe 2 or 3, and as a result, it results in inconsistencies across multiple figures from the same teams. You would think that they would focus on several teams at once and then push those figures out and get those made and everything would be decently consistent across the board with the figures, minus maybe 1 or 2 things here or there. And so with the same for the props and everything, or the prop replica, like, toy things and everything, I don't really know. It doesn't make any sense. And on top of that, they use reference photos that I don't understand where they get some of the reference photos sometimes, but the only things I think should be off, if they have to be, are the actor head sculpts for the civilian heads for these. but because they can't always get actor likenesses and like rights issues cleared and everything, and or sometimes they screw up with those when I'm pretty sure that they could get them. It's really weird, but yeah, so not really quick, but as a follow-up to these, I just wanted to have that for the sake of it on the channel and everything, just to have these comparisons. Eventually, I'll do reviews on the whole teams from the Lightning Collection, so you guys can see like differences between them and what I'm talking about more effectively. I'm gonna do those at some point, probably next year, because I have all of Zeo, Mighty Morphin, In Space. I have all of A Squad for SPD. SPD has been mostly released, and after SPD Yellow eventually comes out, I'll do one for that. Dino Thunder just needs the Black Ranger, and I'll do that one for that. And if we're getting time for, oh yeah, and Dino Charge as well. I ordered a loose, but it has all the accessories. Dino Charge Black, on eBay, so that should be coming. So expect a video on that soon. And yeah, but when we finish Dino Charge as well, and then Go Busters or not Go Busters, Beast Morphers. Yellow's coming out for that, and then we just need the Silver Ranger, I believe. For that, that team will be complete. But yeah, and then we just need to finish the lines for Lost Galaxy. There's Lost Galaxy Green coming out, and then they just need Yellow and Pink. And then apparently they're going to start doing Turbo and everything. And we'll see what happens with future teams that they pick. And yeah, because I ordered Dino Charge Black on eBay because I couldn't wait for them to start doing that again. Who knows when that would be. And I just wanted the team to be complete for when Dino Charge Blue comes out. So yeah, and then they just need to do the other 4, I think it was, Rangers from that. And then possibly if they do a version of Death Ryuger or the Talon Ranger, I think, from Dino Charge, or from Kyryuger, which I think he appeared in a comic, so they could easily do it. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with that. And I did a video on the TMNT X Power Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or MMPR releases, because those all came out pretty simultaneously, and thus they were produced at roughly the same time, and thus they are the most consistent team across the board, next to probably A Squad from SPD. So yeah, and the Psycho Rangers, which I need to buy the Psycho Rangers as well. That'll probably be sometime next year. Then I also need to buy Psycho Green. So that'll be like $300, but if anyone has any of those and would like to sell them to me, hit me up in DMs on Twitter. But basically, yeah, that's just this is what I have to say there. I will buy them off you for if you have a reasonable price. I will go a little bit over $100 to possibly $150, but we'll see. So yeah, so I really don't have much else to say on that. They're going to start Turbo soon, like I said. I hope that they continue doing Time Force and Wild Force. Wild Force's 10th anniversary was this year. Time Force's 10th anniversary was last year. And Gal Ranger's 10th anniversary was last year as well, which Bandai has been doing the SMP stuff for Gal Ranger, which is, yeah. Still waiting for SMP Gal God. We'll see when that comes out. I know it's been released a little bit because I've seen some videos on YouTube, but for some reason, like, the pre-order I had was supposed to ship out in October. It's now late November. Still hasn't shipped. But we'll see when that happens. I don't believe any U.S. distributor for those even has any of those yet. But yeah, so they're gonna start Turbo stuff. That'll be like if they finish Beast Morphers next year as well. That'll be nice. As long as we have the main team for Dino Charge, I'm fine with them taking a break from Dino Charge. I would love to see if they could. Oh yeah, they have Dino Fury started as well because they released Dino Fury Red. So there's like, was that like 3 or 4 teams, maybe 5, that they still need to do figures for. That'll be interesting to see when they do that. And then I would love to see more because they have almost all the they have almost all of the initial Saban era done. They just need to do Turbo. Then they need to do, or the Zordon era. Then they need to do post Zordon up until Disney, and then they need to start doing more Disney stuff as well. Like Ninja Storm, I would love to see them start. Jungle Fury, definitely. I like those suits. RPM would be great. Samurai would be great. Even though I don't like Megaforce or Super Megaforce, and I hate Super Megaforce with a fucking passion, I still love the Gokaiger suits, so I would love to see them start at least Super Megaforce, because those suits are actually really good. And that's the reason why I have the SH Figuarts for Gokaiger. But I also like the Goseiger suits, so I'd like to see those as well. And then there's Ninja Steel. I'd like to see those. Even if the seasons aren't that good, most of the time the suits designs are really good. So yeah. Yeah, in the Jungle Fury, they have the 3 extra Rangers, which would be fine. A complete 8 Ranger team, that would be really cool. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with the Lightning line, or Lightning Collection line soon. There's also going to be the In-Space Astro Megazord, which I'll get that probably when it comes out next year. I think I said in the last video that I have the Zap Megazord. I ordered that when it was discounted on eBay for the Hasbro store on eBay, so that's good. I'll get Dragonzord at some point next year, after it comes out. But yeah, gonna be focusing more on larger ticket items than smaller ones for the most part. Although I will focus on like smaller stuff as well, especially as I like revamp the channel a little bit with new content. So yeah, so you guys are still gonna get videos from me when they come out. Or the other ones that we have. Like I said, I know there's Dino Charge Blue, Beast Morphers Yellow, right? Dino Fury Green's coming out, and then Lost Galaxy Green. For the remaining ones of those that have been announced, and we'll see what happens in the near future for the Lightning Collection line. So yeah, sorry this took longer than I said it was going to, but once I get on a roll with rambling, I tend to go for a bit. But gonna call it here. So yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments if you want. So yeah, so not really much else to say. Links, description, all my shit. Subscribe if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next one.